Okay, how are we doing now? Give me a thumbs up and I'll get on with the episode. Thumbs up? Thumbs up? No echo? Perfect. Okay, we are good to go. Anyways, welcome to the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild episode. Welcome, everyone. We're going to talk about a lot. We're going to talk about the new release. We're going to talk about the latest theories. We're going to talk about Legend of Zelda, everything. We're going to have a lot of fun. How we're going to get started, though, is we're going to start with the game that I've been playing recently. This one, it's surprisingly a handheld. It's a Legend of Zelda game. You guys might have heard something about it recently. Legend of Zelda, Minish Cap. It's awesome. I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about Minish Cap. It's a good game, but we're not going to talk about Minish Cap. We're going to talk about a different handheld. We're going to talk about this right here. Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. If you notice, I have a Link character right here. He's really awesome. You get a lot of different weapons. We'll get into that. The only thing I want to tell you is that my wife and I have been playing together. If you notice, he has a hand. I hope you guys can see that. He has a hand that's just moving continually. This is just a pause screen. And that hand moving continually is the dead arm of some other character, like a skeleton bokoblin. And we have dubbed it Touchy McGrabby. That is the weapon. Every time I have to decide which weapons I want, I never get rid of Touchy McGrabby as long as I can keep them. Anyways, we'll get back to that. Enough excitement aside. Let's talk about a couple things that have been coming out recently about the Nintendo Switch. Rumors, theories, or things that are actually true. One of the things that everyone has asked me since I've started playing this on the Switch is the little cartridge. Have I licked it? Funny you should ask. I ended up getting the Master Edition, one of the harder ones to get. Saw the cartridge, looked at it, and like any good 5-year-old would, I licked it. So if I ever get rid of it or sell it, you're getting a collector's edition that is licked by me. And since I am such a famous podcaster, it's actually going to be worth about double what the asking price is. So just keep that in mind if it comes up. But I will tell you, I have licked the cartridge. Now, it might just be in my edition or something. I did not taste it to be any different. Yes, I licked my cartridge. I am one of the people who licked their cartridge. No taste. There was no taste. So for those of you who are disappointed, I'm sorry, there was no taste. I'm sure there is a sour taste to them, but for some reason, my collector's edition, there was no acidy substance to make it taste horrible. With that being said, a couple other things. Glitches with the Switch. A lot of people have been talking about the left controller having connection issues. I experienced it a little bit when I was sitting on my couch, but except for those a couple experiences, we really haven't had any issues with the left joy controller. I will tell you we had power issues. We tried to hook up the Switch to the television because the first time I wanted to experience the new game, I wanted it to be on my bigger TV, and I did have an issue with that. The issue I had was that if it didn't have enough power going to the console portion of it, it would not turn on. So we had to make sure that we fixed that. My wife fixed it, did a beautiful job, and it is great. Zoe is absolutely more mature than me. If you haven't figured that out by now, you just haven't been watching. So, anyways, so we had a really good time setting this up on the TV. Now, first impressions, first thoughts. I wanna explain something about my nerd fandom when it comes to Legend of Zelda. Now, they released this game or debuted it in E3 almost 4 years ago. And I will watch the E3 debuts and see what I think of them. And obviously, if I know they're going to do a Legend of Zelda one, I want to watch it. I never owned a Wii U because they didn't have a new game for Legend of Zelda come out for the Wii U. Anytime I buy a console, it's because a new game is coming out for it that's Legend of Zelda. Then I'll buy the console and I'll buy the game. That is something that has just held true through my entire life. But there are things about my Legend of Zelda fandom that might be slightly different than other people's. After watching the E3 preview, I actually will go dark to 90-minute demo views, theories, game theories. Like, now I'm going to all the Legend of Zelda sites and listening to what everyone has to say because I'm experiencing the game. But before the game comes out, I will not go out and seek information on that Legend of Zelda game. And why I do that is because I want to recapture what I had when I played these games originally. I am old enough and an old fart enough that I played the original one on the Nintendo when it first came out, played The Legend of Zelda 2 on the Nintendo when it first came out. And the experience you got back in those days is there was no internet, there were no previews. The game came out, you saw it on a shelf one day, you begged your parents to buy it, you took it home and you played it. Or you traded with your friends to get their game and they would trade to get your game and you'd play the game that way. And that's what would happen with most of the games that I got for those systems. So when I got into playing these games, every game that has come out, I've never watched or looked at hints or magazines or internet or blogs or podcasts or YouTube videos on what the game's going to be like, how the game's going to go. Nothing like that. I don't do that, and it's a personal choice. I do that because I want to experience the game like I did when I was a kid in the 1980s. I want to pick up the game. I want to know just a little bit about it to know that I'm going to like it, and then I want to sit down and experience it. The great thing is I did that with Breath of the Wild. So when I turned on the system, it reminded me very much of how I felt when I played those games the first time. When I played the first one, you start off, you're in this open world, and you end up going down into a cave, and some old man gives you a weapon and says, "You look old enough. What are you, 10? Oh, I'm 8. Okay, well, here's a sword." And so you start the game, and you go, and you don't have any clue what you're doing, but you just know it's fun, you're exploring, and you can go almost anywhere. So I really enjoyed that. When Super Nintendo came out with Link to the Past, that was another game where I didn't know anything about it. Legend of Zelda 2, I'm just going to skip over. I really didn't have a fantastic experience with that. I did enjoy it. I did eventually beat it, and it took me forever, but I did. I went to Link to the Past. I actually played that game and loved it so much, I convinced my parents to let me bring it on vacation with us. So I was actually in Wildwood, New Jersey, Jersey Shores, and this is back when it was, a really hopping place, not before like MTV Jersey Shore. And I would just play it in the hotel room as much as I possibly could because I was enjoying it that much. And then Ocarina of Time came out. And when Ocarina of Time came out, I had just this enormous feeling of I'm not worthy. When I first turned on the game, because I'd never played a 3D game before, I said, how am I going to navigate this world? How am I going to do the things I need to do? How am I going to kill these enemies? How am I going to experience the puzzles? It was so nerve-wracking, but so alluring and fun at the same time, so I really, really enjoyed that. Now, since Ocarina of Time, like Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, I didn't get that feeling. I loved the games, loved playing them. I played them till they broke. I enjoyed every single one for different reasons. I enjoyed some more than others. But I never had that feeling that I had from Link to the Past, or the first one, or Ocarina of Time. I craved that. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't skip ahead and look at anything, because my hope is it's kind of, that's my drug. I wanna feel that. So last night, or 2 nights ago, I had to wait till Monday to play because the Master Edition didn't get shipped. People who got the Master Edition didn't get it to Monday. So Monday night I get home from work. We put my daughter in bed. We figure out how to hook up the system to the TV, and I turned it on. And right from the beginning, when you hear whoever it is say, "Open your eyes," I had that feeling again. I'm getting chills just talking about it. I had that feeling again. I had that feeling that I'm getting into something that's really large. I'm getting into a world I don't understand, but there's going to be a lot to understand. It's going to be extremely challenging. It's going to be extremely daunting. It's going to be extremely difficult. And I was not disappointed. A lot of people talk about Nintendo not coming out with the games on a regular basis. I can see right from the beginning what they're attempting to do, and I applaud them for it. So when that opening sequence happened and I woke up and I'm in this world and, you get a tablet, I looked at this and said, okay, I'm experiencing something brand new to me, but also extremely familiar. I wish people could have captured the look on my face, the look on Kate's face. Kate was on her phone checking something out, and then all of a sudden the artistry of the game showed up, which is something that she's very into. And I saw the look on her face, and I saw the look on my face. And it just was this great moment. Now, I made a post yesterday about like how everyone has their hobbies, everyone has things that they look forward to, and mostly they're yearly. This is kind of like Christmas times 10 for me, just having the new game and also having that experience. So I cannot stress enough that experience alone makes this game amazing to me. Will it be one of my favorites, one of my worst by the end of it? I don't know. I'm too early into the game to give you that indication. But I will tell you, I had just an amazing feeling. So right off the bat, that feeling alone makes me like it better than some games from my past. As we get into the game, though, it is absolutely intriguing to me what they are doing with the Zelda franchise when it comes to this game. 7 years in the making, they said it was going to be a very large world. They're not kidding. This is the largest world of any game I've ever played. I've seen people comparing it to Skyrim and saying this is a much larger world. It is. The scope of the world is absolutely astounding. And you start off, and, you have what I would like to call minor hand-holding. One of the things that I absolutely agree with, like, if any of you ever watched Sequelitis, where Egoraptor talked about, every game since the first Legend of Zelda, you feel like you're on a tour. You go here, you have to then go here. You go here, then you have to go here. You get hints to go here, you get hints to go here. This game does not hold your hand. This game will give you hints as to what to do, but your entire choices are completely up to you. How you tackle the challenges that they put in front of you are completely up to you. Right off, I'm going to say right off the bat quite a bit, I realized, but it just, I don't know what else to do. Initially, when I left the opening cave and they told, you had an idea of where to go, and you start to explore, and then the map opens up a little bit, and you're going around what I would call the tutorial, where you're learning about the game. There were 15 or 16 different ways to get to, or hundreds really, of how you were going to get to another aspect of the game. And while you were traveling to there was so much that you were discovering. It was just eye-opening. Right in the beginning, I'm getting a shield, I'm getting a bow and arrow, I'm getting an axe, a sword, I'm getting all these weapons, and in the other games, you had to quest, you had to find a side quest or a dungeon to get a weapon, like a boomerang or a bow and arrow, and you're getting them right off the bat, and you need them. You need them right off the bat. What really I like about that is it's not as simple as I'm making a sound. Like, you get a sword and you get an axe and you get a shield, and you need them, and you're battling enemies, and you're dying quite a lot. I've died many times. One of Kate's friends talks about dumb ways to die. But he so you're playing with these weapons, and if you attack someone enough times with a weapon, because these weapons aren't special in any way, shape, or form, and you're putting them through a lot of trauma, they bust. And you have to keep that in mind while you're working with these weapons. You have to figure out which weapons are best to kill who, what's going to happen to these weapons over time. And it's a resource management style weaponry. And then as you get to the first, I'll call them dungeons just for the time being, they're trials. You get to these trials, and in the beginning, the trial tutorials are giving you things to make you stronger, to solve puzzles. These are things you normally would not get till the end of the game, but you're getting them right off the bat, right after the first 4 trials. You have almost every specialty item you're going to need for your little tablet thing that they give you. My wife calls it the Sheikah Shake. And there's the Sheikah Shake. It is just amazing when you get the bomb. You get like a thing to magnetize metal objects. It's a lot of fun. It's really intriguing to see how these things play off. And you'll go to this one area and you will try 5 or 6 or 30 different ways to solve the problem, die many, many times, and then all of a sudden you realize what you should have done, and you use your Sheikah Shake, and I'm just going to call it that. You use your Sheikah Shake to magnetize a block to kill everyone, and you find that out after the fact. Or you do it right the first time and you go, wow, how'd that happen? And you can go anywhere. It blows my mind. It really, really, really blows my mind that you can go anywhere, absolute anywhere in the game you can go to. And there's no place that's strictly off limits. Now, there are things that you have to scale correctly. You have to plan how to get to that spot. But if you plan correctly, you can go anywhere. There was this one trial that I had to do for the tutorial aspect of the game, and it looked like it was impossible to get to. And then all of a sudden, I'm scaling the side of a mountain, and I'm basically going up the side of the mountain. Like in any other game, it would have just been background. In this game, you're scaling it. And once you got to the top, which took a while to get to, and you could die many times if you didn't scale it correctly, you get to this trial. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I can't say enough good things about it. I haven't gotten really far into the game because I'm a father. I have to temper how much I'm playing the game with making sure I spend time with my daughter, going to my job, adulting. But from what I've played of the aspect of the game, there are many things about it that just scream out at me. The first 2 hours of the game, I didn't run into anyone else other than one character, and I'm not going to tell you much about that. I'm trying not to give too many spoilers. I'm just telling you more about the gameplay. But it was 2 hours into the game before I actually started seeing other people other than things I had to kill. There are things to kill. There are wildlife. I haven't killed any wildlife yet. I'm probably going to. I did shoot a boar, but I'm really bad with my bow and arrow, so I have to get better at that. Oh, good question. Okay, what is the main point of Legend of Zelda games? Great question. So I'll do that, and then I'll get back to what I was talking about. The main point of a Legend of Zelda game, from the beginning is you are an adventurer. If you play a basic RPG game, role-playing game, where it's turn-based battle mechanics, the idea is that you're trying to outsmart the computer enemy using the resources that you have. With a Legend of Zelda game, they kind of uptick that a little bit and say, go discover everything you possibly can about the world and defeat evil. That's what Ganon is. Ganon's the main boss in most of the Legend of Zelda games. Defeat him. Defeat evil. Save the world. Adventure and find everything you can. That's the basic premise behind a Legend of Zelda game. You can play fighting games where it's just you versus the other person, and then you have to beat the next person to beat the next person to become the best fighter in the world. You can play first-person shooters. First-person shooters are very... I'm going to shoot you before you shoot me, and then when you come back to life, I'm going to try to kill you again. You have open-world games that are strategy-based, such as like Grand Theft Auto, where it's more about turning yourself into a surreal world that's very similar to our world, but letting you do everything that you possibly can't do because you're a good person in the real world. And then you have side-scrollers. Side-scrollers are still very popular. Where you are working from left to right or right to left or down to up or up to down to get to the end of the world and move on to the next world. That's how all Super Mario games are based. Legend of Zelda has been called an RPG because it has RPG elements. It can be called a side-scroller depending on which game you have because it has some side-scrolling elements. With this and the original game, you have the open world where you can just go and discover everything. So the answer to your question is... Legend of Zelda is a game where you are the hero and you must defeat evil, and to defeat evil you must discover everything about the world, and in turn you're discovering everything about yourself to become a hero. It's one of the reasons why I like the game so much. So, back to what I was talking about, Breath of the Wild. So far, we have gotten past what I'll call the tutorial land area. I really want to see you in Steampunk Zelda. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Steampunk Zelda's going to happen. Josh, Zelda 2 for the win. If I had to rank Legend of Zelda games by top to bottom, Zelda 2 would be at the bottom. Sorry, Josh. I can't give you love there. It was definitely my least favorite journey through the Legend of Zelda games. So, what I'm experiencing with this game more than any other game I've played is just this feeling of magnitude, where I don't know where the end is, what the end is going to be. I can see what the end is going to be. I can see where the end is going to be. I don't know how I'm going to get there, what I'm going to do. There are enemies that I'm encountering right now that kill me instantly. There are attempts that I'm making to solve puzzles that kill me instantly. It's unlike any other Legend of Zelda game I've played in how difficult they are making it. I love that. I love the fact that it's difficult. I'm going to die several times in very simple areas for where they are in the game, and it's very, very early on. And I love the fact that one of the things that was my least favorite aspects of another game is probably one of my most favorite aspects of this game. If you played Skyward Sword, there was what they called the endurance bar. The endurance bar, you can run for a certain amount of time, or climb for a certain amount of time, or swim for a certain amount of time. And when your endurance depleted, you either died because you fell, because you drowned, or you stopped and you walked very slow because you had to get your endurance back up. With Skyward Sword, I think they went too far. I think it took away from the joy of that game, along with other things. With this game, the endurance bar is paramount, and they've perfected it. I love what they're doing with the endurance bar. You see an open world where you can go anywhere and do anything, but you have to plan how you want to get to. You want to scale a cliff. You want to get across a river. You want to go across a bridge. You see a horde of bokoblins who seem to be the most populous enemy in the game, and you have to figure out how to destroy them. And endurance takes a part of that, because sometimes you have to run away. There's no way you can do it with how you've set it up. So I'm really, really, really loving the endurance bar, as opposed to other games that I've played it in. A couple things about the Nintendo Switch, handheld version. Hold on. We're going to turn this on for a second. Okay. So with the handheld version, where you're switching the controllers and you have it on both sides, it has a kickstand, so you can set it down somewhere and play it. The versatility of this thing really makes me happy. I am not someone who's been a very big handheld player. I've never really owned a lot of handhelds. I've definitely played almost all the handheld Legend of Zeldas just because I want to play every game. I just look at this and I think this is the next logical step for the Nintendo franchise. Now, I think having a touch screen, having it be able to port to the TV, this is what the Wii U should have been. And I think this is what the biggest downfall of the Wii U was. You had this large Wii U tablet that couldn't be used anywhere else. You had to have the Wii U system on for it to work. And it was clunky. A lot of people didn't like that control mechanism. And then they come out with this, which says, okay, well, you can bring this screen anywhere. The game connects into it. Everything connects into that. You can port it to the TV. You can turn it into a controller. You can have the controllers on the side and play it as a handheld. It's the next logical step for the Nintendo consoles. Now, for the Nintendo haters out there, I want to talk about this thing that people are having about the NES Classic and not having enough stock, and they're talking about the Nintendo Switch and not having enough stock. Okay. So, I see all the time, the Nintendo Switch comes out. There was a pre-release. I did not buy the Nintendo Switch at pre-release. I was one of those very risky people that had set a time and a place. I knew Target didn't open until the day it was released. I had already made a deal with my boss that I was going to take my lunch early. I left. I ran over to Target. I got the last one. I was elated, called my wife, said, I got the Nintendo Switch. I pre-ordered The Legend of Zelda because if I had waited to try to get the Master Edition, then I wouldn't have gotten the Master Edition. I would have ended up getting the Collector's Edition, or I would have gotten the regular copy. So I pre-ordered the Collector's Edition, which I thought was the smarter way to go, and I was very fortunate that I went to Target right when it opened up. I got the last copy they had that was just for regular sale, and I had it. Now, for those of you who did not pre-order, I understand. Pre-orders did go quickly. For those of you who tried to go out on Friday or Saturday and get a copy and you didn't get one, I understand. You're annoyed. It's natural. The NES Classic, I understand. You're annoyed. It didn't happen for you. So there's all this flack going around about how Nintendo, A, doesn't know what they're doing, B, they should have put out more units. They should have adapted to what the demand was going to be. When you start thinking about the math to put out that many NES Classics or that many Nintendo Switches, 2 million units launched in the first month. 2 million units, and let's say it cost them, I'll just do the math easily, $100 million. $100 million for a Nintendo Switch that they've put, even that much more money into advertising. Let's say $100 million into... 2 million copies, $100, that's $200 million, plus another 100. That's $300 million for a company that grosses a couple billion each year. When you start talking numbers like that, $200 million, $400 million. That's a lot of money to invest into a console that, you don't know what the initial reaction is going to be from everyone. Everyone's like, oh, it's Nintendo, it's going to do great. Well, talk about the Wii U for a second. That was not a great console for them. It wasn't the Wii. Now, the Nintendo Switch, they put 2 million units out. That gets a nice hype out there, and it gets people fiending to have more, and everyone wants to get it. It's a marketing strategy. I understand that you want to have it the day of. Then, you might want to start going to, like, the PlayStation 4, or you might want to start going to the Xbox. If you're a Nintendo fanboy like me, you understand the risk of wanting the latest games and the collector's editions, and you understand all of that. It's a brilliant strategy. It's a brilliant strategy because what it does is it gets everyone salivating that they want this console that will not be rare a year from today. Everyone wants it. Still, people are looking around for the NES Classic. It's brilliant, and it's good marketing and it's good business. It's not great because there are people out there that are angry, but I can tell you this right now, they'd rather take the angry of the salty players that are my age and have people fiending to get this still at Christmas time. Like, they still don't want this to be a big Christmas item. And there's going to be some sort of special edition that comes up around Christmas time that people are going to be like, well, I need to trade in my regular Nintendo Switch and get the special edition. It's how the video game industry works nowadays. And it's how it's going to be, and it's how it's always going to be. Until people don't have that much addiction. And when you have a game that people have been waiting 7 years to come out, you're going to have this rush for demand. They could have had 4 million units come out. They would have sold out. But they don't know that at the time. They could have had 4 million come out. Everyone gets a console, and all of a sudden those 4 million people are going, this is the worst console. And then all of a sudden they're taking a much larger loss than they did at 2 million. They logically went with 2 million for a reason, but think about that. 2 million consoles out at launch. That's ridiculous. That means 1 out of every 100 households is going to own a Switch. It's ridiculous. So just keep that in mind when we start throwing out the Nintendo hate. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a tried and true Nintendo fanboy. And I'll call out when they do something bad. Like the Wii U was not a good system. It had great games, though. The GameCube gave birth to the Sony PlayStation Company. And it was not anywhere near the consoles of the others in that time. But it had great games. And so that's what Nintendo's known for, great games. And I think this Nintendo Switch is the future of the console industry, where they are meshing the handheld and the console for the TV. And it's very much like a tablet. It's very much like those tablet games. So what's going to end up happening is you can get the games on your phone, or you'll be able to get them onto your Nintendo, or you'll be able to connect the two, port the two. They're making everything where everything is going to work together by Bluetooth, by Android, by iPhone. Everyone's coming together. It's, just to take all your money, all my money. So I'm looking forward to it. I like the portability. So, with no further ado, I'm going to show you the Master Edition. I have it right over here. I'm going to go grab it, and I'm going to bring it on here, and I'm going to show you everything that was in the Master Edition, because it's really cool. All right. So, this is The Legend of Zelda. Whoop! Master Edition. Flip it around. The artwork is intense and awesome and so gratifying for this collection. So, obviously, I've already opened it. It's not new in the box. Kate told me when this came, she goes, hey, why don't you get another one? Or you should have gotten 2 when they came out. I said, yeah, I should have, because then I could have kept 1 new, but that's not my MO. I'm keeping this. No one's getting it. So the first thing I'm going to take out, we're going to leave the best one for last, is this came with it. I haven't opened this up yet, but this is what the Sheikah Shake looks like in the game. Okay, here's the back. Here's the front. This is what your Sheikah Shake looks like. This is a big pivotal part of the game. A lot of things happen with this. So you can actually put your tablet right inside here, and you have your very own personal Sheikah Shake. If anyone wants to correct me, please go ahead, but I'm going to call it Sheikah Shake no matter what. So, after that, on the side, this is the stuff that came with the collector's edition. So this is all stuff that you would have gotten with the collector's edition, which is still available in most places. So one of the things you get is a Legend of Zelda coin. It's really cool. I like it. There's the back. Well, hold on. I'm going to make that better. There's the back. There's the front. There's a wink. All right. Then you got the sound selection, the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sound selection. And if anyone knows anything about Legend of Zelda games, the music is amazing. I went to Symphony of the Goddess and just had an amazing time. I went with one of my really good friends. It was great. Now, I'm not going to open this up, but it does come with a poster. Okay, there are just certain things that I'm not going to open yet. I'm going to take my time. It's going to be slow. So I have all of those that came with it. And then the big thing, and this is why everyone wanted the Master Edition instead of the Collector Edition. Okay, and I'm going to open this up. I've already opened it up. I've already looked at it. And it will be part of the displays back here. It will be. Just not yet. I'm going to take my time. Maybe next week. Maybe for next week's episode, you'll see everything displayed. Because I have room to display. I got all the amiibos. I'm going to show you the amiibos next. So, here is we're actually going to take it out of the packaging. Out of the packaging. This is much larger than I thought it was going to be. All right, let me back this up a little bit. There we go. This is the Master Sword of the game. So I'm hours and hours and hours away from attaining this. I don't even know how to attain it yet. So this is the sword, and this is probably one of the coolest statues I own. So I'm very excited about it. This is staying with me. I've had people be like, do you understand how much you can resell that for? Yeah, I do. I understand exactly how much I can resell it for. I don't care. I really do not care. Okay? So, that's all the unboxing. Now, I'm going to go grab the amiibos, because they have some really cool amiibos come out, too. I'm not going to show you the 30th anniversary ones. I'm going to show you the ones that just came out. Alright, here we go. Just off screen for a moment. So, with the amiibos, this, I'll save that one for last, because that's my favorite one. Okay, so here's, Link as an archer. Oh, I gotta get used to this. There's Link as an archer. It's absolutely astounding, the artwork that they put into this. I love the direction they're taking the artwork. Alright. Yes, the base of the sword is actually made out of metal. I love it. This is who my wife is thinking about cosplaying. This is Zelda in the game. I have not met her yet. I do know some more about her, but I have not met her. So I'm looking forward to meeting her. Maybe tonight. Maybe our paths will cross. Maybe it's, 60 hours down the road. This is the Bokoblin that I'm talking about. Now, for those of the viewers that have kids, my daughter, I tell her it's Bob Goblin from Wally Kazam. But that's the Bokoblin. These are the guys that I'm fighting the most. They are Some of them are difficult. Some of them have some really cool weapons that I love fighting with. Like they had a couple clubs that had two teeth on it. That was great. All right, and then here's Link on a horse. Now, I've been to 2 stables in the game. Two stables. Okay? I attacked the chickens. Chickens attacked me back. I love that that's a part of the game. But I can't get a horse yet. I'm a little upset about that. I have money. I had rupees. Like, rupees are not as easy to get in this game as they were in previous games. Like, you have to do a barter system. I might find rupees later on, but right now I've been only getting them. But I have my pockets lined with cash, and I just want to rent a horse, and no one will give me a horse. So, this is the last guy. The last guy, when I saw it, I basically said, okay, I must have this one if I don't get any of the others. This is the Guardian. Okay? The Guardian is something that I've encountered in the game. There's quite a few of them. There is no way for me to defeat one. So it's very much like if you've ever seen The Matrix, and they tell Neo, if you see someone, or if you see an agent, you run. If you see a Guardian, you run. I can't defeat them yet. I have no weapon that even touches them in any way, shape, or form. So, I can't, I can't beat them yet. So, in conclusion, what do I want to end with? I know what I want to end with. And it's something I've said when I've done a Legend of Zelda panel. It's something I've said to people. And it holds true. If you are a Legend of Zelda fan, I've asked many people what their favorite game is. Obviously, the most favorite game that a lot of people will turn to is Ocarina of Time, but right after that is Wind Waker, which always surprised me because I did not have as much fun playing Wind Waker, but some people absolutely loved it. What I've come to find out is, and you guys can test this theory, is that when you play Legend of Zelda, whatever game you played in your formative teenager years sticks with you and becomes probably one of your favorites or your favorite. So for me, my formative years, I ended up playing Ocarina of Time, and that right now is one of my favorite games. I know I'm out of focus. It was because I was messing around with all the figures. It's auto-focusing. There's nothing I can do. I'm just not that talented. But, if there are people out there that are looking for a new game to play or a new series to play, and you want to pick up Legend of Zelda and you're in your formative years, if it was Skyward Sword, you're probably not into this. If it was Legend of Zelda 2, you're probably not into this. If you got into the handhelds, a lot of them you'd be into, but there's some that you would not be into this. But if you want to reinvigorate people into this franchise, so far I can tell you this game is the game. This game will bring in a whole new wave of Legend of Zelda fans. It will reinvigorate people that have been waiting for a Legend of Zelda game like this to come. I don't think I'm saying that prematurely. I don't think I'm saying that too early. I think there is a lot here that we should be really applauding Nintendo for taking the time to make sure they did it right. That they are really giving us a once-in-a-lifetime treat. I don't envy them trying to make another game after this for the Legend of Zelda franchise, but who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us again. But as of right now, I think this might be this has the potential to be the most exciting Legend of Zelda game ever, and I don't say that lightly. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching this week. This is just basically a fanboy geeking out about the Legend of Zelda series. I want to thank you all for watching and attending and just listening and letting me show you all my new toys that will all be on display soon. Next week, we are going to have a special guest, Mike Garland, who's been an illustrator for many different comic books in the Marvel and DC family. He's going to come on. We're going to talk about comic books. We're going to talk about the new movie Logan. We're going to get his very unique perspective on the Logan movie. So it should be a lot of fun to watch. And we're gonna talk about the industry. So if that's something you're interested in, you should really tune in next week. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Good night.